Hey guys, it's your girl Alexi, and this is Red Carpet Fly Go-Getta podcast, where we interview people here in the entertainment industry. And today I have with me freelance creative director Justin Brown, who was born and raised in the Bay Area. Early on, he knew that he wanted to do something in the creative arts and be a benefit to the Black community and leave a legacy that he could be proud of. He moved to LA last May and has been busy working on small projects as a creative director, hosting gigs and giving insight as a panelist and being a co-host on his podcast, #Slicktalk. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Justin. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? I'm doing great. I'm so happy and blessed that you have me on your show.
I'm glad that you're on my show too, because I never had another podcaster here.
Listen, it's about to be lit. We about to get into some things. It's about to be fun.
Yes. Now, you know, I might be a little bit ignorant, but can you tell me a little bit, what is a creative director and how does that fit into the Hollywood scene?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, creative director could like literally mean different things to different people. What it means to me specifically is that like I just give input and feedback and help out with different ideas for different projects. Let's say, for example, a commercial. Sometimes with commercials, you have people that you call on to kind of give feedback or try to figure out an angle which way to go with the commercial, kind of like a producer in a sense. So a lot of people actually consider themselves producers outside of just a creative director. For me specifically, my realm has been like photo shoots, like making, setting up locations and kind of like scenes for photo shoots or like concerts. I've also worked on a concert as well, or a few concerts as well. So that's kind of like my take on it, and that's kind of like my background with that. I eventually want to expand that to be doing more, hence why I moved to LA. There's way more opportunities out here to do that. And I've been meeting a lot of other creative directors and producers and getting ideas and making connections. And yeah, so my ultimate goal is to become a producer, because that goes hand in hand with being a creative director as well.
Now, it's great that you said you've worked on like several projects and even concerts, because that's a good segue into what I'm about to ask you. What are some of the projects that you've worked on?
Yeah, so some of the projects I worked on, one was Ashanti. So I worked on an Ashanti concert in the Bay Area a few years ago, which I was really excited about, because it was like, okay, I grew up listening to your music, and, I didn't have too much kind of interaction with her at the time, but I did work with like her manager and other people that were working on the concert and everything like that. A few no-name commercials, and then a lot of different photo shoots, which are good for me because I have an eye for like scenery and where I want you to be, and style and poses and everything like that. So I mean, just different, working specifically with a lot of different individual people on their ideas. As far as like a lot of big projects and commercials and things like that, it's still on the up and up.
Now, when you worked with Ashanti, was Irv Gotti still managing her?
No, Irv Gotti was not still managing her. This was on the cusp of her becoming independent. Okay. So yeah, this is when she was like getting ready to become independent and doing all that. And yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of where she's at right now as an artist, because she is fully independent right now. And with that being said, I feel like that's the reason why she doesn't get any more feedback or input as she once did, because when you're independent, as a lot of people would know, is that it's coming out of your own pocket. You don't have any type of support or sponsors or anything like that. You're literally paying for everything out of your own pocket. So at that time, I think she still was like on the cusp of getting ready to become independent. So hence why she had a few people come in and discuss, different scenes that she wanted on her show. Like, for example, one of the scenes was what we think that should be behind her. Should it just be a monitor showing like different videos, like her past videos, or should we have her pictures on there? We opted for getting several different monitors behind her. I think a total of like 20 small monitors and everything like that, showing like individual videos, like when she was coming up and her foolish days and everything like that. The song Foolish. So yeah, it was really a great experience, and I wish her the best. I'm happy that she is still independent and she's not going back on that, Shout out to Ashanti. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit where you get your inspiration from and your creativity from, because like you said, you have an eye for this, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to come up with things that are super creative and not done before.
Yeah, so I get a lot of my inspiration from life,
Okay.
right? So last year, I think as I mentioned to you, I actually was blessed to have the opportunity to travel a lot. So last year I traveled pretty much the whole year. Like I did have time periods where I wasn't anywhere. I was just in LA, but for the most part, I was like constantly traveling, and then even the year before that, I was traveling a lot too. So it started in like 2016 where I actually had the opportunity to go to Italy for like 2 weeks. And so much inspiration from that. Like I went to several different museums, and I went from Rome to Florence to Venice, and I got like different pictures in my head of like where I would want to shoot, like if I run into a photographer and a model and they are looking for a creative director to help them out on set, I'd be like, listen, I seen this in Rome. I know I can't exactly replicate because we're in California, but I can, tell you what would be a great backdrop for what you guys are trying to go for, just based upon that, as well as just life in general. I mean, shout out to, I have an older sister who is an artist, so she actually grew up drawing and playing and being creative with different like art, like actual art projects. Now she's like a sim head, so I think you like The Sims as well, right?
Wait, no. That's our friend Amber. I think Amber likes Sims.
The Sims. Okay, I thought we did have a conversation, but it was Amber. Okay, yeah. So my sister is the same way. So she's a creative when it comes to Sims. Like she creates Sims and like the whole life things and everything like that. So for me, and to sum it up, it's just life, like life differences, the things that I've been through, the things I've experienced, the things I've been able and blessed to see overseas and in other parts of this country, is where I draw my inspiration from.
Now, who is somebody or an artist, or just, it doesn't have to be an artist, but anyone in general, who would be that dream client that you would love to work with?
So now, I think somebody I would love to work with right now is like Blame It on Quay. Are you familiar with it?
No, I'm not familiar with him.
Okay, well, shout out to Quay. He is I guess you can, well, he's a businessman right now. He has a lot of stuff going on, but he started off as a social media kind of person. He used to do skits on Instagram, and then the skits turned into even bigger skits, and then he ended up becoming such a big person on social media, a socialite, that that Tyler Perry found him, and he was in some Tyler Perry plays. Well, pretty much all of Tyler Perry plays, like the recent plays. Now he owns businesses across the country, and he's just, when you think of a creative, I think he's like the person that quickly comes into mind, because not only is he very young, not only is he African American Black, but he is humble at the same time, and I think that's really tough to do in this world, in Hollywood and LA, is to kind of stay humble, especially when you're getting millions and millions of followers. Like he has like, I think 3.5 million followers on Instagram. So it's like when you're getting that many, you have many people telling you that you're doing a great job and you're doing this well, and then you have even celebrities that you've probably idolized telling you that you're doing really well. I feel like it would be easy for you to lose yourself. But for him, from my perspective, I haven't seen him do that. I feel like he's really humble. I've had the pleasure of running into him and speaking to him a couple of times. But as far as like us working together, I've never had that opportunity. But I can just imagine me giving him some information and saying, hey, I know you like to do little skits on Instagram. How about we do this? You know what I'm saying? How about we work on this and try to put a spin on this? Like I have so many ideas in my head to work with him, and it would just be amazing to do that as well.
Now, is it the best way of reaching an artist or a creative or whatever, the best way to like DM them, or is it better to send an email? What do you think?
So I tried to take a very low key approach. Okay. So some people, what I can say for some people, and then I say for myself, from what I've seen some people do, is they approach them out in public, like, oh, I would love to work with you, and just really take it. To me, that's aggressive. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Some people are like, oh, really open to the idea, I guess. But for me, I don't like to come across as aggressive or demanding or like invade somebody's space to talk about business. Because at the end of the day, even though we're working together, this is a business. I would want to get a check. I would want to get coin. So, I mean, it's a business. So me, I definitely do end up sending an email. I also do the DM thing. But with the DM, I think a lot of people have a misconception that with DMs, it doesn't have to be like professional. You're like hitting somebody like, oh, hey, it's me. I want to do this. No, like, let's not be mistaken. If you're really trying to sell a product or you're really trying to sell yourself, be professional. Like, approach the situation as if it was an email. Approach the situation as if it was your actual 9-to-5 job, because this can turn into something monetary that you can gain from. So every time I hit a DM, every time I send an email, I'm always very, very professional. Always very polite and everything like that. And the one thing that I had to remind myself is that getting a no is not the end of the world, as well as no response. Because there's been several times where I'll send like an email or I'll send a DM and they don't. You can tell if somebody read it. They don't read it, or they don't respond back, or even if they do read it, they just don't respond back. So I've learned not to take that to heart and to kind of just take it with a grain of salt. Like, listen, if they didn't respond, like, they're going to hope that they did in like 5 years. 5 years from now, they're going to look, I'm going to unsend that message, because you can do that on Instagram. So I'm going to unsend that message and act like I never sent it, and they're going to hope, they're going to wish that they actually seen it 5 years from now.
Now, see, that's good. I'm so glad you said that, because, I deal in PR quite a bit, and I always prefer to do emails. Mm-hmm. But I hit up Charlamagne the God through DM, and I didn't get a response. And I was like, oh, see, because I feel like maybe I should have done an email. But I feel like, people don't do emails that much anymore.
They don't, and that doesn't necessarily. And with that being said, just because he didn't respond to one doesn't mean you don't need to send 2 or 3. And then also do your research, people. Like, if you believe that you could just approach Charlamagne the God, not you specifically, but anyone. If anyone thinks that they can approach Charlamagne the God and be like, can we talk about business, or can we talk about just anything? It's most likely not going to happen, but what I can say is another avenue is reach out to somebody that possibly knows him, that is approachable in that sense, right? So he has managers, he has business partners, he has co-hosts, Angela Yee and DJ Envy. Not to say that they're going to answer, but there's people that are surrounding him that will possibly answer, and it would eventually get back to him if the message that you're trying to send is legit and professional and everything like that. So I don't just stop at, depending on what project I want to work on or who I want to work on, I don't just stop at one DM or one email. Listen, I'm going to get it until it gets to you, so yeah.
I think that's good to hear, because like I said, that can be discouraging when first of all, it's nerve-wracking to reach out to a celebrity, and then they don't answer, or they don't get back to you, and you're like, you're doubting yourself a little bit. And yes, I needed to do a little bit more research, because I probably should have reached out to Angela Yee. I feel like, we have a lot more in common, and more relatable. He was doing his book tour, so I was asking a question regarding his book tour. But you're absolutely right, and people need to know that you still need to be professional when you hit them up, when you slide in the DMs.
Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, and I think that's the real reason why they don't really respond to DMs or even check them, because they're getting tons and tons of DMs that are like, hey, I need to holla at you. Like, I mean, no shade. Like, you could approach, your approach is your approach. But if you want a response, or if you want somebody to work with you, make sure that you do it professionally. And if you can't do it professionally, have somebody do it for you. I'm not the best at, I am kind of the best at writing out things. I'm like a wordsmith. I love like writing and coming up with different things like that. But like, if I know anybody that needs some help reaching out with somebody, I'm gonna be like, listen, I'll type it up for you. I'll give you some pointers, because we need to help each other. And what a lot of people in general need, us, and then people that have already made it, needs to remember is that they were once us. You know what I'm saying? So that's and coinciding with what we were talking about, that's kind of one of my frustrations, because it's like, you've been where you've been where we're at before. Like, for Charlamagne the God specifically, I love him. No matter what people say about it, I love him. But what I will say with that is that there was a point where he was working for Wendy Williams. There was a point when he was an intern. So he knows the experience with coming up and trying to make it. That's not to say he needs to like accept everybody that's reaching out to him and befriend them and try to put them on. But I feel like a lot of people that have made it can do so much more with reaching out and pulling people up, especially if it's a sister or a brother that's trying to do something positive in our community.
Well, it's so funny. I just think that sometimes people get a little scared, and a little bit nervous, because they're like, wait, I'm not even like situated in my stuff, and you want me to like reach out and help you, and sometimes people just don't know how to effectively help somebody. They're very guarded, because they work so hard.
Absolutely.
So, they're a little bit guarded. But I want to get a little bit personal with you. you moved from the Bay Area. Tell us how you adapted. How was that transition here into LA?
Absolutely. So it was surprisingly, I would say a little bit of both, like an easy transition and a difficult transition. I would say it was easy because me moving here wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be, right? I literally just packed up my car and things inside of my room that I had in the Bay Area and then just moved here. As far as adapting to LA in general, it was a little bit difficult, only because I came with the mindset that LA was going to be similar to the Bay Area. I'm like, oh, well, they're both in California. They can't be too much different. My naive self thought that. But when I moved here, I realized that it's way faster than anywhere I've ever lived, which is just the Bay Area. So I came here and realized it was really, really fast, and that not only is it fast, but there's tons of people that are like constantly on the move and on the go and on the shuffle and hustlers, and people coming from different parts of the United States to LA expecting it to be one thing, and it's not that thing, but they try to overcompensate for what they believe it should be. So hence you have people, they have this negative kind of like cloud surrounding people that live in LA of being like obnoxious or stuck up or bougie or, just different negative things that they place upon people in LA. And that's because you got a lot of people that come from different places and they're like, oh, well, I live in LA now, so I'm supposed to act like this. No, I mean, when you think about it, this is California. Like, we're supposed to be very laid back, very chill, very approachable and all that. I mean, we have beautiful weather, great opportunities and everything like that. So it shouldn't be this uptight, like, I'm not trying to talk to you type of stigma. And that's coming here. That's what I, had my thought process was, and a lot of people were like that. But then what I've learned is that for me to just stay close and meet people that are where I want to be in life, right? Not people that are trying to hustle and, not hustle like other people, not hustle Go-Getta, but like Go-Getta podcast, right? Not hustle in that sense, but like hustle, like just like step over people to get where they want to be. So I was able to make connections with some pretty dope people, and I'm holding on to those connections, and I'm staying grounded, and I'm staying humble, and I'm on a mission to, just be the best that I can be here in LA and make it work for me,
Now, has it been hard to connect and find work since you're a freelance creative director?
Girl, listen, has it? Ooh, anybody listening to this, if you got any work, no, but I'm serious in that aspect. But it has been hard, and it's really hard. And I know a lot of people can relate to this. Is that if you don't have a background in the type of work that you're trying to seek, it's very hard for you to get your foot in the door. Like, you literally have to like come up and start doing other things yourself and proving to people that you can possibly make it. And another inspiration of mine that I didn't mention earlier is Issa Rae, because she literally, graduated from Stanford, which is in the Bay Area. Shout out to Stanford. But she graduated from there and started doing her own thing, started making her own videos and, shows on YouTube, and it took off from there. She put her money where her mouth was at, and her intelligence and her creative mind and everything like that. So it's just like, in this case that you're talking about, it's really hard for me because I don't have this expansive, background and resume of working on a lot of things that are of notoriety. Like, people be like, oh, I can relate to that. Yeah, I worked with Ashanti, but it's like, I can't go down on a list and be like, oh, I did this and I did that and I think what people need to understand is just because you don't have that background, you don't have the resume of working with different type of people, or say, for example, an actor, if you've never been in these big ass movies, doesn't make you less of a good actor. It just means that people just haven't given you the chance to show what you got. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, I really just want people to give me a chance to show them what I have and what I can do. If I fail, then you can turn your back on me, but just give me the opportunity, right? So it's I know I can go on a tangent, but to answer your original question, yes, it's really, really hard, but that doesn't deter me from my ultimate goal, which is to run fucking LA.
I'm with you. I like your attitude. That's why I like to surround myself around these type of people, because you're right. It's I started my own thing because I auditioned horribly, and people, that's like your first impression of someone, and that's not all I have to offer. So sometimes you just gotta let them see what you can do.
But you know what I've noticed about you since we've met is that your personality is so contagious and so just infectious, and that's why every time our mutual friend Amber is like, let's do something, like, is everybody gonna be there? I don't want to be rude, Amber, I love you, but is your whole girls gonna be there? Because I just like our energy. We're also Capricorns. We're both Capricorns, so I know where your mind is at and everything like that. So yeah, I just definitely appreciate where you're at and what you're doing, and I'm inspired already by first getting to know you and everything. That I just want to tell you to keep on going and keep on pushing, because you're doing the thing, and I love this.
Well, thank you very much. I'm gracious and humbled by you saying that. And like I said, you're like, because we're Team Capricorn, you're already in my brain, because I was getting ready to ask you, talk to me a little bit about #Slicktalk, because you got your own podcast going.
Listen, I'm bringing something to the table. They didn't want to bring me to the table. I built my own, right? Well, we built our own. It's not only me on the podcast. It's me and two of my very, very close friends, Dev the Coolest and Ray Bay. That's their little names on our podcast. But yeah, we created this podcast a little over a year ago. We're on our third season now, which is a huge accomplishment for myself, and I'm sure for the other fellas as well. But mostly, I mean, just like I mentioned earlier, it's called #Slicktalk. It's a podcast for us by us.
Okay.
That doesn't exclude anyone else. Everybody can listen to it. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to what we talk about. But our main priority is kind of telling stories and giving our opinions from a black space. We're all black gay men, and it's a podcast that talks about our life experiences, our trying to balance, being black in America as well as being gay in America. We talk from everything. We talk about gentrification to cultural appropriation to politics to what's tea. We talk about relationships. We literally talk about everything. It's like literally listening to a conversation that your three gay best friends are having from our perspective, and I love it. We're all not to toot our horns, but we're all very well rounded, and that podcast has been a game changer for me. It's like therapy. As you know, doing your podcast and interviewing different people, it's like a release that you're feeling every time you get to express how you feel about a certain situation, and you also it's also gratifying because you know that this is going to stick around for a long time. So I know that my podcast is accessible to anyone around the world to listen to, and that's like really powerful for me.
So what was the inspiration, because we're running a little bit out of time, but what was the inspiration for Slicktalk? And then I want to kind of go into, because you said for us by us, and like helping the black community, just a little bit about your aspirations in helping the black community.
Okay. Yeah. So it was brought up because the podcast was originally originated because we used to have a weekly wind down. So at one of my friends' house, we knew that we were going through things throughout the week and throughout the month, so we thought it necessary to come together as friends, have a glass of wine. Hence to shout out to Issa Rae again, because she gave us the idea, because they did a little thing before Insecure. But so we decided to do that ourselves, and we used to have a glass of wine every week and discuss how we were feeling, the things that were happening to us, and in our lives, and it was very, just like I said, therapeutic for us. So we went from there to actually having all coming together and deciding, what, we could turn this to a podcast, because I know there are other people that want to be able to listen to our stories and they can relate and kind of vent and agree with us or disagree with us. So we decided we put our money, little bit of money that we had out there, and we, bought literally started from the ground up. That's why people always, when people ask me, how do you have your podcast? I'm like, listen, child, they have Amazon. You could buy your microphones. It was not hard. We started recording in his dining room in his house. That's where we started. Now we're in a studio.
Okay.
On our third season, and we're recording in a studio, and we do all of our recordings there. So we've elevated, and I'm so proud of that. But with the podcast, I think our ultimate goal is just to empower and to motivate and to inspire and to educate, right? So that's the ultimate goal. And then we want to translate it to become a brand. So now we've started doing, like, next month, we're actually hosting our first ever toy drive.
Okay.
Yeah, in the Bay Area in Oakland. So we're going to be hosting a toy drive. You can come by, drop a toy off, or donate $5. And we're going to donate the toys to a charity that they have in San Francisco. And then the money that we're going to get, we're donating to a LGBTQI homeless center. So yeah, we just want this to be a lifestyle. We don't want to just get on a podcast and talk about different things. We want to translate this to actually being community activists and supporting our communities and going to different high schools and colleges and talking to the kids there and just changing one mindset at a time. Because I know with a lot of distractions going on inside of the world with social media and different opinions, it can get very diluted.
Right.
So we just want to make sure that our community, Black and the gay community, stays on track with our mindset and our focus and, the betterment and the uplifting of our people.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, because we are actually ran over time a little bit, tell everyone where they can follow you and where they can find #Slicktalk.
Yeah, so you can follow me specifically on Instagram. My IG handle is His Majesty JB. That's just His Majesty JB on Instagram. You can follow our podcast Slicktalk on Slicktalk_podcast on Instagram, and then you can tune into our great podcast on all platforms. So it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's on SoundCloud, it's on Apple Podcasts. Okay. It's on everywhere, but don't forget the hashtag, because it is a hashtag Slicktalk. And make sure that, you really listen to it, and digest everything that's being talked about. And, and also with that being said, I'm very approachable as well. So if anyone that's listening to this has any questions or wants to work together or whatever the case may be, you can hit me up, my DM, and I'm sure I would definitely respond unless it comes with some, craziness. But I really, we're closing. I know we went on time, but I just want to thank you again for having me on. Again, I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes, and you're stunning. You look good and everything, girl. I see you.
Thank you. I have an event to run to after this, but I really, really want to connect with you because, you're out here, you're doing your thing. This is Go-Getta podcast,
yes.
So definitely wanting to connect with people who are go-getters. Yeah. So you guys go out there, follow him, listen to the podcast. I know he's got a new listener in me. I'm going to be checking it out. Yes. And then, if you guys want to be on Red Carpet Fly Go-Getta podcast, hit me up in the DMs. I'm at Red Carpet Fly. I'm looking for dancers, singers, actors, actresses, stuntmen, anything in the creative anything within the entertainment industry, and you're out there and you're doing your thing, hit me up. I would love to interview you guys. You can also send me an email at Alexi, that's ALEKSI, at redcarpetfly.com. And until next time, thank you very much, sir. I got to have you back here again.
Yes, please. And we got to have you on hashtag Slicktalk, too.
Of course. I got lots of opinions.
Okay, yes. Let's do it.
And until next time, guys, always stay fly.